Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday night. We here. Welcome to On the Shoulders of Giants. Come on in, up in here, because we got a good conversation tonight. Of course, it's not a new conversation, but it's a needed conversation, because we got to take a look at Black culture. So come on in, tell a friend. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you comment. Make sure you subscribe, share, hit that hype button. Let's go ahead and get this video out. Let's go ahead and get this content out. Welcome to On the Shoulders of Giants. Tuesday night. What's going on? How y'all doing? You know, as all Tuesday nights, especially when you got to work, it's a school night. So we ain't going to be here all night. But while we are here, we're going to make it count. We're going to do it right. And we're going to be right. And we're here to learn, too. We're here to learn. We're to open up our mind. We're here to expand our sphere of knowledge. But we got to be honest, too. We got to have honest conversations to help expand our sphere of knowledge. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to have an honest conversation about Black culture. But we're looking at it through a couple different lenses. And depending on how much time we have, whether we would get to both videos. But we're definitely looking at this first video. And the name of the first video is The YN Mindset is Ruining Society. We're going to use the video, but we're also going to take a look at, we're going to take an overall look at Black culture and see how did we get here and how we remain here. But not just that, but looking at some things that how can we move past this? And is this something that, or us moving past where we are, is this something that is going to be a mass movement, or it's going to be something that's just a few people? You know, we gotta check it out. We gotta analyze it. So that's what we're getting into tonight. An honest look at Black culture, right now in 2026. Where are we? Are we doing good? Are we doing bad? I mean, now if we being honest, you know, we got a lot of stuff that's ailing our community, and we got a lot to work on. Also want to look at this Black fatigue stuff too, and like get some straightening and some understanding that comes with that. And I believe that's going to be one of the aspects of this video that we're going to look at. But you know, Black culture, man, like what's going on with Black culture? But you know, the title of the video is Black, or the question is, does Black culture promote degenerate behavior? Like right now in America in 2026, is Black culture promoting degenerate behavior, or is it something else behind that? Because I know what I believe in. Of course, you know, I'm going to share what I believe, but that's the question on the table about our culture. You know, because we go from having arguments about whether we have culture to stuff like this. But on this channel, of course, we know we have culture. So we've been talking about stuff like this for a long time, analyzing us and where we are and what's going on with our culture, our behavior, our social norms, our cultural norms, our family norms, all these different things that help to either help us or hurt us. So Gregory Jones, Mr. Gregory Jones, how you doing, my brother? What's going on? Kiki B, good evening to you. How are you? Farmer Lane, how you doing? All the people in your preview image are fully financed by white European powers. Hey. I might have did that for a reason, my brother. I might have did that for a reason. Say, what's happening, my Black family? Coming in from Detroit, Michigan. So you know what that means. What up, though? Blackamore, what up, though? What's going on? Gregory Jones, there's a difference between authentic Black culture and what white society identifies and projects as Black culture. Slow down, Gregory. Slow down. But I'm just messing with you. Yeah, that's basically what we're getting into. Speak your truth, my brother. No Black images you get from media is positive. Exactly. Look, excuse me, I said Farmer. Lamar Lane. Lamar, exactly. So you saw the thumbnail. And you got it. There you go. Renee, how you doing, my sister? How you doing? How you doing? Exactly. That's part of the point. Lamar, that's part of the point. Right? Because that's why I want us to take a real honest look at Black culture. But how did we get here? How did Black culture get to the point to where it is now? Because are we truly in control of our culture the way we say we are? Clearly, we're not in control of the image of our culture. We're not in control of the image of our people. So since we're not in control of that, what else don't we control? What other aspects of our culture do we not control, rather, right? Looking at that. And then looking at the outcomes. But looking at the aspects of our culture that we do control, and then looking at the outcomes of that as well, right? Because even I put those people on the thumbnail for a reason. For a reason. To make a point. And that will go with this conversation. Right? Because like, think about the thumbnail, like somebody like a Cardi B. She's looked at and revered and touted as somebody who was a part of Black culture. That's not Black culture. Cardi B. You know, I would even put Pastor Jamal Bryant. You know, that's nobody questions that part of the culture. Right? It's like the live I did the other day when they were trying to make stripping in Magic City a part of Black culture overall, right? What they do in Atlanta and what Black people do overall is two different. But stripping is something that been around in America for the longest. It ain't Black culture, all those different things. But it's the most negative aspects of us they like to promote. Yes, sir, Lamar, you are Black culture too, my brother. You are as well, my brother. I appreciate that. Cleveland Williams, how you doing? How you doing? So you're right. It started with destruction. It started with the destruction of the mind and then destruction of the family. But yes, because it's like when you're not in control of your image, when you're not in control of your narratives, when you're not in control of your economics, when you're not in control of your self-defense, when you're not in control of how you eat, all of your essentials, your necessities, when you're not in control of that, when your oppressor is the one who's in control of how you live, like your basic necessities for you to live and survive, when your oppressor is in control of that, think about what else that they are in control of. And in this case, it is they programmed us to behave a specific way, and enough of us, that program seeped into enough of us where we are the way we are today, the N-words. That's why we're looking at this video that says the YN mindset is ruining society. But the YN ain't nothing but a new version of what has already been happening. My saying is, and this is not an excuse because I think by now it's 50-50, but white supremacy's greatest invention was the nigger mindset, the slave mindset. That was white supremacy's greatest invention. They instilled that into all of us, and it stuck with enough of us. And so there aren't enough, in my opinion, there aren't enough of us who realize what's going on. There aren't enough of us who are educated and studied about what has happened to us and what's going on. So going back to what Neely Fuller says, if you don't understand white supremacy, everything else will confuse you. What's going on, Amina? How you doing? How you doing? Rod, you said, so what does it all mean? It means we need to take back control. We got to find a way to take back control of our lives, of our basic necessities, of our autonomy. We can't call ourselves these great people. We don't control our basic necessities. Said the thing that irritates me is every time black folks mention culture, entertainment, and fashion, both of which have low ownership, are brought up, don't have the language and belief system to control. I'm just saying. Black and more black people, we have been compromised. We are becoming our enemies, our coach. I remember pairing Electric by Dr. Amos Wilson, and I quote, "Black people have been demonized by the Europeans." You already know it. The unseen seer, what's more, if you don't know thyself, everything else you know will only, there you go. Dorvell, what's going on? What's going on? The degraded consciousness where you justify maladaptive behaviors. Hey, Renee said, and how it works. Most aren't knowledgeable of the workings of white supremacy. There you go. So what's the starting point? Well, the starting point, hold on, I'm gonna get back to that. Hold on. It says the race system rewards and punishes the decisions, behaviors, and thoughts of black people. There you go. So the starting point, well, the starting point should have been something that didn't happen. But as of now, it is, well, what we keep talking about. Well, we have to, first of all, reprogram ourselves. Enough of us who gives a damn, enough of us who want something different. We got to make sure that we are reprogrammed, but we got to make sure that we are living examples of what we want. So, and I'm not acting like I know the answer. And let me just say that. Let me not act like I know the overall answer. But I'm just saying things that I've learned over the years that I would consider pieces of the puzzle is, for one, is us behaving like a cohesive group of people. Of course, that's against the programming. But those of us who understand better and operate differently, operating as a cohesive group of people. We have to do the work. Exactly. That's the starting point. The starting point is those of us not just talking about it, but actually doing the things that we are talking about. Like, and that's why I say we come here and we put our minds together. We have these conversations, but then the real work starts offline. So we had these conversations, then we go back into the real world, and then we implement the things that we came up with. G Money Hollywood, what's up? Going on? What's going on, my brother? Talk back to me. Let me know what it be on this Tuesday. Yes, I agree that some of the culture promotes degeneracy. However, it came into existence based on being enslaved and indoctrinated. There you go. There you go. So, but see, that's the thing too, right? Getting people to understand the indoctrination that matters. Now, it works so well that we continue the behaviors, and we're continuing to the behaviors to our own detriment. So at some point we do have some responsibility in our behaviors, but it still is the root of the indoctrination. So, you know, going back to the analogy, the white folk came into our house. They bust the door down in our house. They tore up our house. They ramshacked our house, just messed up our house and walked out, and we can't make them clean up our house. Yes, they tore up our house, but we have to clean up the house. And if we don't clean up the house, and if we continue, if we only look to find comfortable places to exist in that house that's all destroyed, then, and we never look to fix the house, then we will never have true liberation. That's my idea. I'm not saying it's the answer, but that's my thoughts around that. The unseen seer said, we are doing it. The answers are all around us. We know that all things begin in consciousness. That's universal law. Therefore, changing consciousness is the work. Without a vision, people perish. There you go. The concept, if you treat me like an animal, I will act out that which you have called me. Of course, and that's that psychology. That's that psychology. So please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share, because we're getting into this thing. Of course, it's a school night. We're not here all night, but we are going to make use of the time that we are here tonight. So before I get deep, let me go ahead and run my commercial, and then we go ahead and jump into this video by the YouTube channel, Blackie Speaks, and it's the YN mindset is ruining society. But check out this commercial real quick. So I told y'all I was going to get my merch shop up and running, so I've got it. So I want to show y'all my merch shop. So this is it. So I got some hats. So I got my own The Shoulders of Giants hats available for order. I have shirts. This supposed to be like a canvas, some kind of shirt, jersey shirt. I don't know why they got that design, but it's a jersey shirt. Somebody wanted. Got hoodies, regular shirts, heavy, what they call it, the heavy tee. tees for men's, unisex tees for women, everything. I got a mug. I gotta get this mug too. But this is the merch that I have available. See, I got my mug, I have my hats, and I have my apparel available. And all of that is, the links and stuff are below and connected to the video. So I got my merch shop up and running, been working on that for a minute in the background to get my merch shop up and running. So I got it up and running. So if you want to support the channel, get you some merch, it's all available. Links below and links attached to the video. Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to everybody tuning in from Instagram and everybody tuning in from Facebook. Shout out to everybody. So Gregory Jones says, we must value each other's relationships and use things instead of our conditioning to use people and value things. There you go. There's power and wealth in numbers, says Raw. There you go. G Money said, Jay, in order to be reprogrammed, we have to go to a professional Black psychologist who is not connected to the Black church, who can't do it on our own. It takes both self-intervention as well as real help. Correct. So that leads to the Association of Black Psychologists. And that's why that exists. That's exactly why the Association of Black Psychologists, ABPSY, exists, right? So those are psychologists, Black psychologists who are trained up in Black psychology. PC, what's going on, my brother? And so those are the psychologists who are trained up in the field of Black psychology specifically, and they learn that to help deal with the generational trauma. And so, yes, I agree with that. ABPSY. And shout out to FAMU's psychology program, which is an African-centered psychology program. And a lot of the professors in FAMU's psychology program are members of ABPSY, former past presidents of ABPSY. So we do have a coalition of Black psychologists that we can utilize. And as a matter of fact, my brother PC is in the mental health field. My brother Patrick, he's graduating and becoming a therapist, so he can help in that field. And I am actually now registering for grad school to get my MSW and eventually get my LCSW, so I can get into the mental health field and be able to help Black folk, because I understand what happened to us. So yes, I agree, G Money, I agree. But once again, that's why ABPSY exists, and that's why we do have a coalition of Black psychologists who are trained. Because as a matter of fact, I would just talk to my mom. He's deceased now, but one of my former professors, Dr. KK Cambone, he was a former president of ABPSY. One of my former professors, two of my former professors who are still alive here in Tallahassee, Dr. Dana Denard and Dr. Huberta Jackson Lohman, they are former presidents of ABPSY who are actually and currently doing therapy work here in Tallahassee in that lane right now. So we do have it, we just got to expand it. Let's say he said we could do it on our own. We need to invest in reading psychology books that identify maladaptive behaviors. Hey, and that's why I do my Monday readings. All y'all got to do is tune in to my Monday readings at 1 o'clock. It's what we reading. Y'all asked for it. This is what we reading now. Y'all asked for it. Here it is. Just got through reading this. Dang show read this, the compensatory code. You know, we just got through reading Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery. So, you know, my Monday readings. Tune in to my Monday readings. But let me go ahead and share my screen and let's get into this, because what this means is we have a basic understanding of what's going on. So let's analyze this. Please hit that like button, y'all.
Now, if you're on certain spaces of TikTok and social media, I'm sure a lot of people have heard the term YN. Not to be confused with Young Ninja. YN stands for Young Nigga, which is a slang popularized by rap culture. The term is supposed to represent young Black men, mostly teens, and is heavily associated with the image of a Black face, often in connection with behavior, which 99% of the time involves hurting people, whether that be stealing, robbing, or just being belligerent. However, this term is not defined by skin color. It's more a mindset that the new generation of young people are taking on. We're talking about children as young as 10 being influenced by the behaviors that come with this term. And they're mainly being influenced by it through different forms of media, social media being the main one. But we also have music, specifically rappers, promoting this way of showing up in the world. A lot of the violent behavior from young people being publicized on social media right now can be connected to this mindset as well. And in this video, I want to talk about why the YN mindset is slowly ruining society. Rapper King Von, who died back in 2020, might be the poster.
And so looking at that part of his intro, and let's be clear. Those young men are not ruining society. That's hyperbolic. That's too much. Those young men are not ruining society. American society was ruined before those young men were ever born. But what those young men are doing, one of the things that he said that I agree with, those young men are heavily influenced by what they see in the media. They are heavily influenced, even by this young man he about to get into that's on the screen. They're heavily influenced by what they see on the media or in the media. They're heavily influenced by what they see in their communities. They're heavily influenced by what may be reinforced in their households. For a lot of them, it's not reinforced in their households, but they grew up in front of the tablets. Because remember, like thugs and gangsters and stuff, it's not nothing new. Like black people destroying our own communities is not nothing new. It's just, it seems like it's on a whole nother level now, and it may not be. We're just able to see more of it, and we're more aware of it. So because of social media, if I'm in Tallahassee, Florida, I know what's going on in Compton, California. Back in the days, I didn't know what was going on. Now social media, we get instant stuff. So do we have an issue in our community, especially with these young men? Yes, but the question is, if we have a YN problem, how did we get here? How were YNs created? Why do YNs exist? Who created YNs? What environment did YNs come up in? Looking at all of that, right? Because we have to, like Neely Fuller said, we have to ask questions.
For this conversation, because Von was not only the physical representation of what the YN term is associated with, which is a blackface, but King Von was also big on being a menace to society. That's what Von not only spoke about in his music, but he took pride in being the way he was. And then he got himself into an altercation in November 2020 and got himself killed. Now Von is just one example out of many, but he was a famous rapper, so he managed to at the very least reap the rewards from operating this way. Through the means of making a bunch of money from his music, he gained a lot of notoriety, fame, and recognition during his short-lived career. And although Von isn't here anymore, his music continues to influence kids all over the world in a negative way.
You say you want to come ride with us?
Yeah.
What you gonna do though, like if you get caught?
I ain't snitch. I went to juvie. I actually went to juvie because I teacher with scissors. You can answer it. I chased my teacher with scissors.
Yeah?
I chased my teacher with scissors and I stabbed her and then said, "Oh, you're going to juvie for 3 months."
Man, Kings, you gotta chill though, but that's not cool.
Huh?
It's not cool to be bad.
It is cool. You know why?
Why?
Because I'm just trying to be like my idol,
Who your idol?
King Von.
What the?
Now that clip that I just played you at.
But I mean, it's a lot of questions to be asked though, right? You can't just look at the young man and be like, dang, that young man wilding. All right, that young man might not even be 12 years old, right? And so if that young man may not be 12, and then also if you understand behavior, if you understand how human behavior is formed, you're looking at that and you're asking questions like Cleveland asked, where's the dad? Where's the mother? Where's the village? Well, that village we keep talking about. It takes a village, but the village don't exist. And because the village don't exist, this is one of the issues we have, right? Because now we're looking at outcomes of a failure to operate as a collective group of people, as a community, as families. But we also understand what happened to the Black families. But even where we are now in 2026, we're at a point to where we have these gender wars. We have these diaspora wars. Black people are fighting other black people everywhere across the globe. Black minds have been colonized all across the globe. But just concentrating on us here in America, our minds are warped. The majority of us, our minds are warped. So it goes to ask the question a lot of people are asking, like, how many of us gonna actually make it? How many of us can actually be saved? How much of the community, how much of the culture can actually be saved? Or do we have to blow this thing up and start over? Because of the direction everything is going, because if you look at if you add everything up, we are degenerating. Our culture is promoting, I'm not going to say black culture overall is promoting degenerate behavior. The white media does a great job of promoting the worst parts of our culture. The white media does a good job of putting a spotlight on the worst people that they can put on. The white media does a great job of romanticizing things that harm the black community. They do a great job of making sure that they uplift and elevate the King Vons of the world, the Cardi B's of the world, the black people who don't promote goodness and healthy stuff in our community. The white media does a good job of promoting all of that. And because we don't control our image, because we don't control the media and all that, remember, the media has a great influence on all of us. No matter how intelligent you are, the media has a great influence on all of us. But also, we're to a point to where now we're imitating what we see in the media in real life, and that's always happened, where we're imitating it heavily because the village doesn't exist. What's going on, Ernest? How you doing? How you doing, Ernest? How you doing, Joshua? The diaspora started when they sold. But if you go back and you look at, if you concentrate just on the diaspora war, then, yeah. But if you go back and you look at destruction of black civilization, one of the reasons we are where we are is we've never learned from history, really. Chancellor Williams, what's going on, Numeralytics, how you doing? Chancellor Williams laid out 6,000 years of African history and destruction of black civilization. And one of the things that I learned from reading that book is black people never learned about our relationships with our enemies. We never learned to not fraternize with our enemy. We never learned to not blend with our enemy and all these different things. We haven't learned. They didn't learn on the continent, and we haven't learned now. We haven't learned our lesson. We haven't learned from history. They programmed us. We got all this stuff going against us. So it's a lot. It's a lot that's going on against us, right? But that doesn't mean that we can't. But that just means we have to give a damn just that much more. You know what I'm saying? But once again, when I say this, I'm not excusing white supremacy. But what I am saying is, there go my brother Wise Nice up in the building. What's going on, man? That's my brother right there, Wise Nice in the building, man. What's going on, man? What's good, man? Look, I'm not excusing white supremacy when I say this, but once again, if somebody comes in your house and mess your house up, are you going to clean up your house? Black people, we got to clean up our house. That's how we get to this stage where we have this so-called YN crisis. Well, we've been having something like this. We just put a new name on it, but we have a family. We have a crisis because we don't have family. We don't have the village. We don't have the structure. We don't have discipline. We don't have all these things. The media is raising the children. The media is raising the children. So if the media is raising the children and the media is promoting the worst of us, how do you think the children are going to come out if you stick a whole generation? Because we were already having issues before social media. We act like social media caused all our issues. No, we was having issues before social media. So we were having issues before social media, and then you stick a whole generation or two of young people in front of the tablets, the cell phones, the same media that you say that we all know promotes the worst of us. You put them in front of that and let that same media raise them. What do you think is the outcome are gonna be? Yes, sir. Wise Nice, man. We in here building. Yes, sir, man. Hey, man, we got to catch up too, bro. We got to catch up too, man. That's my brother right there, man. So our problem is our leadership, who 163 years later still propagate freedom. Well, and see, that's the thing too. We got to stop calling them leaders. Those are the sellouts. Those are the sellouts. They never fought 14th Amendment for us, meaning go to court for the enforcement about equality, because they were never intending to, because they are not our leaders. They are people who are put in leadership positions by the outsiders. I have lectures of Dr. John Henry Clark on this channel talking about that. People who were placed in leadership positions who are not leaders because the community didn't make them leaders. White folks said that they were leaders. And of course, because their mission is to further the cause of white supremacy. Numeralytics says, simply the truth, we still have to be accountable for us, what we teach our kids. We got to clean our house up. I don't care what nobody else say, but you got to clean your house up. If you don't clean your house up, you are going to remain discombobulated and things are going to get worse. Because think about it, does the condition, if you leave a house, or if you never straighten the house up, if you tear a house up and you never straighten it up, and you just leave it like that in that condition for years, and then you keep piling trash, and you keep piling trash, and you keep just trying to find a comfortable place, you keep piling trash, won't that house degrade over time? Like, just take that analogy of that house. Won't that house get worse over time? You don't put no effort into fixing it up. You don't put no effort into making it better. You don't put no effort into cleaning it up. No effort into maintaining it. It's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse over time. Now, apply that analogy to our consciousness, to our behavior, to our thought process, to our ideologies, to the way we exist. So just think about it. So just making sure we understand when it comes to these YNs. These YNs exist for a reason.
It was some kind of like skit when I first came across it, but it's actually real. Here we have a young black boy around the age of 10 or 12 being asked about riding around with grown men on a robbery spree. He's bragging about having been to juvie, how he hurt his teacher, and that King Von influenced him to be this way. And by the way, the title of this YouTube short, which is over 5 million views, is Crazy YN Chased His Teachers with Scissors. Now, the question I had when I seen this video was, why is this adult male in the car making these suggestions to this kid? That's a whole nother issue, right? But this is something we don't talk about often enough. It's not just thousands. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of young people, might be in the millions at this point, adopting a similar way of thinking, being, and moving. And sadly, most of them are young black teens. But then again, like we stated, it's not a race thing, but more of a cultural thing. We're gonna dive into that later.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
And for the more mature crowd watching this video, right, who may not be on social media or even have, let's say, young nephews, nieces, or children growing up in this, new age of social media, a lot of you guys might actually be confused and completely in the dark about this YN mindset that I'm talking about. Maybe this is the first time you're hearing about it. I'm not. If that's the case and you enjoyed this conversation so far, drop a like on this video, right? For others, especially all the younger people who watch this channel, you guys know exactly.
I'm not confused because I work with young people. I'm actually in my community working with young people, right? But let's just be real. And just for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to use the term YN. I just want to put out, I hate that term, but for the sake of this conversation, these YNs act like the older dudes who were the thugs and the hood dudes in the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. That's what they act like. They act like the real Negroes that came before them. They're just a more effeminized version of the RNs that came before them, right? The older dudes who spent time in prison and all that stuff there. Because these are not let's not act like this stuff just popped up. It's 2025, it's 2023, 2024, 2025. We got YNs now. It just came out of nowhere. No. This is a progression or a more of the degrading of us. They're just mimicking what's going on, Nemesis. They're just mimicking the behavior of a lot of the black men that came before them, or the black males that didn't give a damn. They're mimicking that behavior. They're mimicking the hood stuff. They're mimicking the hood movies. They're mimicking all that stuff that was romanticized by black folk. Remember, I'm even guilty of it. We love hood movies. We love hood stuff. We love hood this. We love hood that. Black women love the hood dudes. Let's not forget about that. They are gravitating toward what black people said was good. They're gravitating toward what was romanticized. They're gravitating toward what was made to say, hey, this is what a real man is. This is what masculinity is. This is what you're supposed to be as a black dude. You're supposed to operate like this. They didn't create this. This is a culmination. And I'm not excusing them in that behavior. I'm not excusing them in that behavior. But what I am doing is making sure we understand how we got here. You're right, Nemesis. We don't promote nothing. We don't control nothing. And this same media that promotes the worst of us, we allow that media. We're still allowing that media to program us and raise our children. That same media.
Exactly what I'm talking about. And then we have, people like myself kind of in the middle where I'm connected to it in a lot of ways and I see what's happening, but obviously I'm old enough to have enough sense to know how dysfunctional it is for society in general. First, we got to get clear about one thing, which is the YN term is a term that propagates a negative stereotype of black boys. For most people who know about this term and what it means, when they think about it, what probably pops up in their mind visually is a young black teen with a ski mask, maybe accompanied with a Glock 45, robbing people and being a menace. And that's something I personally think is a problem, right? It shouldn't be like that, but obviously it is. And there's some reasons behind it. And we're going to get into that later on. Now, the term to me isn't actually the issue, as crazy as it sounds, because if it stopped at just being words, there wouldn't be anything to talk about. The biggest problem is the mindset behind it and the energy it carries. For anyone who's heard the term YN, you've also probably heard crash out. Crash out is more of a mainstream way of describing when someone completely loses control, acts off emotion, ego, or pain with no thought for the consequences that may follow. I think Duke Dennis, who's a popular streamer, he explained it perfectly.
Crashing out is making a decision in a split second that could throw your whole life away. That's what crashing out is. Crashing out is, I'm ready to die about it. I'm ready to go to jail about it right now. Whole time the situation is not even worth going to jail about or dying about.
And shout out to Duke Dennis for the very proper.
Now, and I'm reading our comments. I agree with all y'all in the comments. And Raw, you're right. That's why I always say the real work starts offline and the real conversations happen offline. We talk what we talk about on here, but the real work starts offline. But well, let's look at some of the roots of this crash out behavior. My brother Carl Tone Jones talks about it a lot. And one of the things he calls it is like the kamikaze behavior, right? So this kamikaze crash out behavior, this 0 to 60. Matter of fact, Dr. Joy DeGroot talks about it, right? So first of all, from a more of a psychological standpoint, a biological standpoint, we're talking about people who grow up in environments, in stressful environments where high levels of cortisol exist. So if from in the womb to 20, you've existed in environments, high stress, high cortisol, no structure, none of this stuff. It's just 0 to 60, 0 to 60, 0 to 60. You never even learned self-control. You never learned self-control. Your environment, nothing or nobody in your environment taught you self-control. And because of the levels of cortisol in your system, when you get to 60, you don't even realize, you can't even control yourself. Dr. Joy DeGroot talks about this. When they have that much cortisol pouring into their system, when they go from 0 to 60, they are incapable of controlling themselves. But also, that behavior is also used as a weapon. The kamikaze men. Well, I'm gonna go get my brother. I'm gonna go get my boyfriend. I'm gonna go get my son. I'm gonna go get the men in my life to jump on you, all these things. The crash out behavior was created. The black culture, we have to look at ourselves and how we help to nurture crash out behavior. Yeah, right. Exactly. Nemesis, exactly. It's just a new name for it. But it was nurtured by the community. And then also think about a lot of the ones who are the crash outs are usually from the poor parts of the community. And then you have some people who come from great families, great communities who are trying, who in their mind, to be black, I have to act like the hood people. So they're going to be the fake crash outs. But it's a whole bunch of adults with no self-control at the end of the day. But the behavior is being romanticized, not only by the white media, but black people on social media. So,
proper explanation. In other words, you lose all logic and reasoning and let your emotions guide you towards an action that completely messes up your whole life when it could have been avoided. And these two terms, YN and crash out, they're very connected. One of them, crash out, describes a general way of behaving without taking the person into account. So crash out can be about just about anybody, right? It can be about someone who's 15 years old, or it can be about someone who's 85 years old. YN is, however, catered towards the younger generation. And like we stated, it's all
crashing out is just a behavior, is a response for a lack of self-control and the amount of cortisol in your system, just like I explained. Dr. Joy DeGroot talks about it from a scientific term. That's just a street way to get people to even recognize some of the concept of what it is to have that much cortisol in your system and not be able to control your behavior. How you doing, Black Butterflies? How you doing tonight?
often associated with young black teens. Now the question is, what is considered YN behavior? Well, let's put it like this, right? Anything that's reckless, belligerent, and violent. So let me give a few examples, right? Smash and grabs are a prime example of this. Back in 2020, specifically around the time of the 2020 riots, we saw a spike in a very specific type of crime, and it was called smash and grabs. Smash and grabs, for anyone who doesn't know, is a term that describes a type of crime where a bunch of people run into a store, most times being a designer clothing store or a place where they have expensive jewelry, computers, etc. They break the windows, or they run inside, take a bunch of shit, and they just dip, right?
What's going on, Cool
in
K?
the major cities in the U.S. like New York, Los Angeles, etc. I think a lot that was happening can be connected to the things that were going on politically during that time.
There you go,
yes,
Alidor.
but I think the pandemic and COVID-19 was a turning point for sure. I don't know about you,
You're
but
right,
I noticed that
Cleveland.
humans became way more, disconnected from each other after 2020 overall, and the way we interacted with each other as humans, right? But also what people were willing to do to others as far as hurting their fellow human beings. So with that shift, I noticed, and maybe you noticed this as well, I noticed how a lot of crimes were becoming way more vicious. You started hearing more and more about old people getting beat up and robbed. Gang violence became way more intense in communities all over the world, and kids started getting caught in the middle of it more often.
Well, basically what the young man is trying to articulate is social media put a spotlight on things that were already going on. Social media put a spotlight on things that were already going on. It was romanticized, and it did influence others to join in. But things like that in the culture and in American culture was already going on. Smash and grabs is not something that's synonymous with YN culture. It's synonymous with thugs in America. White people do smash and grabs. Say we ain't even factored in the drunken and marijuana. It's all about consciousness. There you go, Nemesis. There you go. In those, especially in our poorest environments as well, and not just relegated to that, but we know in our poorest environments where you will find a more likelihood of a YN being created. Unfortunately, but the environment is primed for that. Remember, those environments are not created to produce a whole bunch of scholars. Those environments are in fact created to produce a whole bunch of niggas. What Jay-Z said, they call the projects a project because it's a project, but they already understood that when you put people in those conditions, how it would have a negative effect on them, and then those people don't have access or control to the resources that they need. They don't have control over the basic resources and necessities that human beings need to survive. So here we are. Greg said it's also a problem when the YNs target white. Well. This is the chickens coming home to roost for white folk, something like that, because you white people created niggas. So here we are. Now you do have to reap some of the consequences of your creation. White people created niggas. So they should have a good understanding of nigga behavior. So yeah, they should have the problem. And I'm glad they have the problem because they created the problem. They're the originators of the problem. I've never seen so many human zombies out here in my entire life. And it's not. And if you travel, you see even more. It's even more if you travel. You're right, Nemesis. There was weed and alcohol in the 60s, but we didn't act this way. Well, it may not have been as pronounced and as many people and as promoted, but it was Negro behavior was like this drug behavior because they had heroin and all that stuff there. I say it like that, heroin, but they had heroin and all that stuff back there too now. And you're right, it wasn't to this thing, but black people were subject to drugs and alcohol and stuff back there. Maybe not to this point, but yes, it was affecting us a bit though. What's going on, Jay Quick, my brother? What's going on? So but let's keep going.
And people started having less and less concern for each other, and individualism, I would say, is at an all-time high right now, especially after 2020. But around 2020, this thing called smash and grabs became a common occurrence. Some of y'all might have seen a lot of those videos of a bunch of teens running inside a store, let's say a clothing or electronic store, stealing a bunch of clothes, laptops, and iPhones. And sometimes they arrive in, big ass groups, right? All ski masked up, looking like Pooh Shiesty.
Sunday, a group of thieves stole from the Nike store in East LA. We are blurring their faces here because they appear to be juveniles. And last week, a flash mob robbery occurred at the Americana at Brand, one of developer Rick Caruso's properties. He says despite their sophisticated security systems and armed guards, it still happened.
And sometimes they arrive by themselves, like this man at this Apple store, and they clean out the whole spot.
They're taking the display phones that don't really work. Hey, tell them Nemesis.
Not only did he clean out the whole spot of all their iPhones, put all the phones in his boxers, but he did all that and literally walked past a police car. If that ain't talent, bravery, and confidence in one, I don't know what is. But all jokes aside, right? This is what people associate a YN with. And although the image that pops up in people's heads is a black male or teen rocking a Pooh Shiesty mask, let's focus on the behavior itself because that's what we're talking about. The YN mindset is a way of behaving, operating, and seeing the world. You don't think the consequences of your actions will catch up to you. Like this clip of this white kid talking a bunch of trash to a police officer and getting manhandled.
Okay,
well, see, if you're gonna add, so is the white boy considered a YN? Because I would beg to differ that this is, since he added this in, since you want to label it YN behavior, but it's more young white boy behavior than YN behavior. Because I would argue that a lot of that is mimicking what white folk do too. You know what I'm saying? But okay. But I get the overall point of the YN stuff, but it comes from somewhere.
Well, what you laughing for? I'm writing.
Yeah, hold up. PC said we also need to consider chemical warfare, such as the high concentration of lead and fluoride toxicity in our drinking water, which causes cognitive issues, leading to high levels of violence. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What a book. Yeah. Yes, sir. So that lead to That lead to why this book is important by the brother Bruce Strobel Jr. By any means necessary, anti-racist strategies for sustainability, resilience, and environmental justice in African American communities. By any dreams necessary. Get your copy. Talking about the environment. And PC been talking about PC and Pat, matter of fact, have been talking about the amount of lead that has been affecting black folk. Well, before Flint, but especially since Flint. Then going back to what I said earlier, we have to assess the environment that these young people come up in. And a lot of these people, the poorer the environment, the higher the bad stuff around them. I can't think of a good academic word, but the more they're going to be around things that are not healthy for them in these environments, right? Looking at that, the environment matters. Once again, if these people come in and mess up your house and you don't clean up your house, and then you add to the trash in your house, and then you reproduce in this house, in these environments, the environment around you is getting worse. It's degrading. The environment around you is degrading. What do you think is going to happen to the people that's within that environment? There you go. So yeah, let's keep going. Hey man, y'all keep dropping these gems. Your shit,
take it up.
And we're gonna cut it right there because YouTube is very strict these days, okay? Let's just say that the end result was the young man begging for mercy on the ground, okay? Now, rap music has been a huge proponent of pushing the normalization of the YN mindset, and this is something I've spoken about on here for years in different contexts. We've seen countless young rappers crashing out for absolutely no reason, whether it's home invasions turned deadly in the TK case, or killing one of the most famous drill rappers at the time, Pop Smoke, when you're only 15 years old. That's a concoction of crash out and YN behavior. And you often see memes about this kind of thing, but I've yet to see an actual real conversation about what's created this phenomenon and why it needs to be abolished.
You can't, how do you see? And that's why we gotta
website is your competitor.
Help this young man. How do you abolish a behavior?
Always go to this website and it lets you find out exactly.
We're talking about young people in large amounts, acting reckless, belligerent, hurting people in the process without any regard for how it's going to affect their lives and others. And it's also not that the older generation, let's say the 80s babies, weren't on demon time during the crack era, okay? Because they obviously were. Just ask your parents. It's just that we keep on seeing more recklessness and more innocent people getting caught in the middle of it. And a lot of this is being televised to an entire generation of young children through social media. And the number one, commonality that I've observed in this type of behavior is structure or lack thereof. Often we see this type of behavior in society, either in your own backyard or in close proximity to you or the people you love. You'll notice how a lot of these young boys, right, specifically young boys, because young girls aren't out here like putting on ski masks and like robbing stores, right? Most times.
No, yes, they are. Bullshit. And see, we gotta correct these young men. He ain't really out here in the community. He looking through a social media lens. He ain't really out in the streets. The young men and the young women are out here terrorizing the communities. I'm gonna say it again. The young men and the young women are out here terrorizing the communities, both of them. These young black girls are being raised in the same environment as these young black boys. What the hell make you think they coming out better? We're not gonna make it as a whole, Nemesis. We're not gonna make it as a whole. We ain't gonna make it. It's the truth. It's a sad truth that black folk got to deal with. We're not gonna make it. Most of us ain't gonna make it. Most of us don't even really understand what's going on. Speak your truth, my brother. You know the truth is never held back over here, my brother. Speak your truth and speak it loud, my brother. But just being real, like the young girls, like what we got the YNs and the city girls. YNs and city girls are both destructive elements of our culture. These girls are out here doing smash and grabs. These girls are out here being violent just as well. These girls out here running each other over with cars and all types of stuff. But how were they created? Who created them? What's going on, Will? What's going on, my brother? Because remember, these YNs ain't just pop up out of nowhere. They ain't just pop up out of nowhere. This is from years and years and years of degenerate behavior by black folk. This is from years and years and years of neglect. Remember, right now, think about what we're doing right now. Think about Black America right now, what we're doing, especially social media's highlight. We fighting with each other. We always find the dumbest things to fight with each other about. Black men and black women are in a gender war now. How the hell are you supposed to raise competent children in the middle of this gender war? The so-called gender war too. They just charged 3 of our girls as adults for jacking elderly women. He ain't on, because the young man ain't in the community. He just looking on social media. So this old young pup, and he's not really in the community for real. He's not really in the streets for real. If you're really in the streets for real, you see that both black men and black women, black boys and black girls, both out here wilding. Young, the YNs and the city girls both exist. Those are the labels that they gave them.
They're not, in 99% of the cases, they're not, right? You'll notice how a lot of these young boys come from fatherless households, and 9 times out of 10, they were most likely raised by a single mother. A lot of times we also see another thing, which is they either come from an impoverished background. If not that, at the very least, we're talking about a working.
Tip, are we worried about white people, or are we worried about what we got going on? That's my question to you, because you're asking, so white people are not at war with each other. My question is, does that matter to us, or does the war that we have going on with each other matter to us more than what white people got going on?
Class background. And here's the thing, what happens when a father is absent in a lot of cases? Well, according to the studies, this has been very well documented. They say the following: research shows when a child grows up in a father absent home, he or she is 4 times more likely to live in poverty, more likely to suffer emotional and behavioral problems. Children of single mothers show higher levels of aggressive behavior than children born to married mothers. And number 4 is very major, because it kind of goes hand in hand with this topic, and that is more likely to go to prison. 1 in 5 prison inmates had a father in prison. And then at number 5, which is very, very, very important for this topic, more likely to commit crime. Study of juvenile offenders indicate that family structure significantly predicts delinquency. Number 8, we have more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. And then at number 10, we have 2 times more likely to drop out of high school. Now, obviously, not every single teen who comes from this type of background ends up committing brazen crimes or acts belligerent or shows a lack of self-control in spaces occupied by others, right? And the question is, why is that? Well, there's a couple angles to this. First of all, a big one that's not emphasized is personality. You can come from the worst conditions and have every single obstacle against you known to mankind. If you're not naturally inclined to be this type of person, you're not going to put on a mask and start robbing old folks, right? And on the other hand, you can come from a household of love, 2 loving parents. You know, your name could be Clarence, and if you find the idea of being a menace to society appealing, then that's the path you're going to go down. And then we, of course, have a mix of this along with environmental influences, which we'll touch on later. Aside from that, another aspect of this is, back in the day, there used to be this thing called a rite of passage, something you did that marks the transitional phase of your life into adulthood. And this rite of passage added a layer of accountability to them as people, and it set a precedent that said you're now responsible for your own life, so act accordingly.
Well, Black America never had a rite of passage. You might have other aspects of the diaspora who've had a rite of passage, but there was no rite of passage for Black America. If so, remind me of what the rite of passage is for Black America. What was that thing that, you know, Black men in America have always done to signify that we're men? So I'm confused about your original comment, Tip. You said, so white people not at war with each other. You said that, so I'm confused, because if this is This is your response. I'm confused to why you asked that first question. But yeah.
Accordingly. Nowadays, we don't have any of that. Culturally, things are less structured. I mean, this young new generation doesn't really even know how to follow authority. Just take a look at what's happening with teachers and their students now.
Disrespect from students. In the 3 years that I've been teaching, I've been cussed at countless times. I've been called fat. I've been called a B word.
A lot of the young people from this generation think that following basic instructions like sit down or put your phone down is a sign of disrespect. A lot of the youth who adopt this Hawaiian mindset actually come from loving households. They didn't have to worry about missing meals.
They don't. No, they don't. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. Most of the YNs do not come from loving households. He's lying and he don't know what he's talking about. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure I look at this video. We cover this video, right? Because the children who are in these schools who do not respect the teacher and follow the rules, that's because they come from households where they don't have any structure, no discipline, they don't have any rules, there's no respect for elders. They don't come, the ones who come from these two-parent households, those are not the majority of these YNs. That's a lie. Once again, the young man is not in these streets for real. He's telling on himself. Most of these young cats who you would consider YNs come from some of the most messed up households you can think of. I work with a lot of these young men. I've been working professionally with young men like what he talking about, these YNs, what they call them now. I've been working professionally with young men like that for the last 20 years. He not finna tell me these cats mainly come from good two-parent households. No, they don't. You do have your ones who do come from the two-parent households who want to pretend like that, but that's not the majority of them. Majority of these young dudes come from households where their parents don't even give a damn about them. Like, because if we really want to talk about the making of a YN, if we really want to get into it, let's get into it. Let's get into it, right? We're talking about young men who coming from households where their parents created them in a toxic environment. Their parents created them in a toxic environment. The parents either were not really together, or when they were together, it was toxic. So they break up and they go, and you got somebody who's dealing with all types of trauma, trying to raise these young men with all the other stuff that they got going on. And these young men are not being poured into. These young men are not being nurtured. These young men are not being raised right. None of this stuff is happening. These young men, these young women, they're not, YNs are not coming up in good environments. They're coming up in the worst environments. The worst environments. Now, once again, I'm not saying that there aren't people who come from good homes and good environments who don't want to emulate that culture. I've seen that as well. But the majority of these young people who would fit these stereotypes or fit these behavior patterns, they come from the worst environments, and the adults around them have failed them. So yeah.
Or going to sleep without a blanket, only, showering with cold water, sleeping on the floor, eating rice and beans, you feel me? A lot of them have been spoiled to the point where consistency in their household or outside suddenly turns into a prison, which is why they're often looking for excitement in the outside world. And that excitement leads them down a road where they start acting out in ways that not only put themselves in danger, but the rest of us that want nothing to do with any of this. And a lot of the young boys who fall into this category, right, of kind of having this YN mindset, a lot of them just have no identity. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they want in life. They don't know where they're actually going. And it doesn't help that they don't have any real life positive and tangible influences around them. As
how long did it take you to realize that?
On top of that, as soon as they head over to Instagram, their algorithm is pushing all this low life behavior content in front of them, whether it's people acting out in public and fighting, or things like videos of people who look just like them, white, black, purple, not color specific, terrorizing innocent people by being belligerent, ruthless, and a menace to society. And that validates their way of living, and it plans to see that then normalizes this way of living in their mind. When you're spending more time with a screen that's made to program your mind in a negative way, than with real people? Is it really a surprise that so many of these young kids are turning out this way? I don't really think so. And speaking of the identity thing, because I think this is worth hitting on a little more. I think this is the core of the issue, actually. Notice how a lot of the, in this case,
What's going on,
YNs who
Elizabeth? How
fall
you
in this
doing?
category, right? They tend to roll in packs. Now, why is it that
Dr.
people
Umar don't
exude
need
this,
nothing.
I'm a savage mindset, don't have the
Dr. Umar
confidence
need
to
to
walk
open
in
up
the
the school.
streets
He
by
got down.
themselves? You're supposedly this tough guy who likes to prey on a weak, and you'll beat up anybody who tests you, and you love to cause ruckus in the streets, but you don't have enough cojones to go outside by yourself. Let me tell you why that is. It's because a lot of these young men don't have an identity. They find their sense of security in the group because they don't have a sense of themselves. And the only
Really?
time they can be themselves is when they're around a pack of 13 other YNs who think just like them. That's how they feel safe being them. They don't have any home.
They're looking for family. They're looking for love. They're looking for structure. They're looking for an environment to be in. I get it, but he is where he is, right or wrong. You have to tell the little bro. But he a young man, so I'm gonna slap him across his forehead and tell him he wrong. He gonna get it. It's a little tough love. He'll be all right. I'm gonna push him on the ground a little bit, and I'm gonna help him back up. But I'm gonna get him right. But you just gotta get him right, because if you're gonna put this out, if you're gonna put this content out, you need to know what you're talking about. So I feel you. I'm just slap him across the head. I ain't gonna make him cry a whole bunch. I'm gonna help him up off the ground after I push him down. But yeah.
Training, they don't know what it means to conduct themselves in a public setting and be one with their environment. They're loud, they're aggressive, and they're repelling, honestly. So a lot of this stems from not knowing who they are, a lack of identity. And the natural response to that, rebellion, validated by the approval of the group. So their way of belonging is by being posted up with others who they feel have the same mission as them. The only oxymoron is the mission is obviously dysfunctional and it adds no value to society at all. And the thing is, there's a reason why a lot of these young men are so quick to crash out, catching felonies through stealing, robbing, and in some cases even taking a life.
Right, Miss Albert.
Seen that in hip hop, right? To them, catching a charge or crashing out, that's not a loss to them because they never felt like they even had a real place in society to begin with. If you're someone who, let's say you're in this demographic of people who could fall into this, the thing that's kind of gonna sway you from moving, all crazy and crashing out and being a YN, right? It's seeing the other paths that are available for you to walk in. Let's say you have a hobby you're passionate about. Maybe you like to sing, rap, write music, paint, health and fitness. Maybe you want to be the next Kai Cenat. Actually, don't try to be the next anybody.
Well, I'm gonna stop the young man right there. Because we get what he's saying. We get what he's saying. Cool K Kang is saying, who's the best of us? Who are the best of us? Well, the best of us are those who are actually pouring into the community and getting real tangible outcomes. The best, I'm gonna tell you who the best of us. The best of us are the people in our communities who are being ignored every day by most of the people because they actually want the best out of us. The best of us are the people who are every day giving their blood, sweat, and tears, the money out of their pockets, those little small organizations that's in our community, but that are helping a whole bunch of people. Those are the people who are like the best of us. The best of us are those of us who are waking up every day, putting our best foot forward, things like that. These are the people that I would call like the best of us. The people who are actually doing real things for the community and getting real outcomes for the community. Yeah, you're right, Elizabeth. But see, the thing is, the trick is to get us to believe that type of behavior is authentic Black culture. The trick is to get us to believe that the degeneracy is what we're supposed to be doing. Because now that, and I'm not going to say now, but it's being reinforced even more through social media that authentic Blackness is like the worst of our culture. It's like the hood stuff. And then, of course you're going to have YNs coming from the environments that they're coming from. And then, you do have some of the women in our community who help to reinforce that behavior because they are attracted to those dudes. So those dudes behaving like that, they rewarded with vagina. So you on one end telling the young dude not to act like this, and on the other end, the young girls throwing a vagina at him. And these dudes, and remember, a lot of these dudes are producing the majority of the babies. Even some of these women who got PhDs have babies from jailbirds who can't read out loud. So, even some of these men got babies from the worst women, all because she had a big old booty. It's a lot going on. A lot of us in our attempt to be authentically black pair up with the worst people because we've been told that the behavior patterns that they have is what black people are. It's the authentic black stuff, right? So, but remember, I made the thumbnail the way I made it, right? We're not in control of the narratives. We're not in control of our culture. We're not in control of the media. We're not in control of none of that. But the things we are in control of, we still don't have a lot of control in. The things we are in control of, we still don't use properly to help ourselves. But there is a reason and there's a rhyme. But at the end of the day, you still got to clean up your house. White people did a fantastic job of messing us up. A fantastic job of messing us up. But damn it, we got to clean up the mess. Oh, we've been over-sexualized. We've been over-sexualized. White people was the first to over-sexualize us, and then they taught us to over-sexualize ourselves. But we definitely over-sexualized. Sex, money, and murder. Sex, this like we have over-sexualized ourselves to the point. Because remember, you got the YNs and you got the city girls. We have I spent so much time on the HBCU campus, it's ridiculous. I've talked to generations of college students, generations of high school students. So many young women have been taught to wrap their personality around their sexuality, wrap their personality around their breast, wrap their personality around their face, how big their butt is, how good they think their coochie is, all this stuff here. Just like you got young boys who wrap their personality around how much money they can make, how many girls they can have sex with, how much flashy stuff that they can have, how much money that they can spend. We're not creating real black men and real black women in our communities. We're reproducing more niggas than we need to. I was having this conversation with my mama earlier. We got more niggas than black people, and that's a problem. That we have to reprogram ourselves. We got to take back our minds. We have to break the chains of psychological slavery so we can actually build black power. The miseducated Negro got to get educated for real. We might want to implement a code of conduct. We might want to take the information that our scholars gave us and actually use it. I'm just saying. It ain't like the scholars just gave us the information just so we can say, hey, I read the book. Nobody give a damn if you haven't utilized the information. Look at the stuff around us. Look at our children. Look at the state our children are in. If you're not happy with the culture, then we got to also look at how are we contributing or how are we helping the culture? Are you hurting the culture or are you helping the culture? As an individual, ourselves. Hey, look here. There you go, Nemesis. Look here. We gotta learn to take care of ourselves. Like, matter of fact, Nemesis, your comment remind me of the podcast that me, Pat, and PC did when we talked about how the concept of black excellence replaced the concept of black power. Because black excellence is seen more as the individual achievement, and black power is more the collective achievement. But ain't that what black folk were programmed to do? Ain't that what we do? Ain't that what we do over here in Black America? Well, black people, period. But white acceptance, white proximity, being patted on our head by white people telling us that we're good, being successful in the white realm. Damn, what happened to the rest of us? I got mine, you need to get yours all over again, my brother. And remember, the concept of the talented 10th originally comes from a white man. The concept of talented 10th originally comes from a white man. Let me find. I got this Talented 10th book in my Kindle that I read, that I got that from. I think it's The Boys. Yep. This Talented 10th book. Let me see if I can get to the cover of the book. This book right here, W.E.B. Du Bois, The Talented 10th. This book talks about the origins of the Talented 10th. Du Bois talks about the origins of the Talented 10th. Comes from a white man. But going back to another conversation I was having with my mom earlier, think about a lot of the concepts and ideologies that Black people like to adopt to help to try to fit to our so-called liberation ideology. Hey, yeah, you're right, my brother. We like to adopt the ideologies of what we think of some white people to help us liberate ourselves from other white people. Like white people gonna give us the sauce to liberate ourselves from other white people for real. We adopt all these other concepts that are foreign to us and think that they're gonna help us. So I'm just saying. Hey man, a lot of people that was out to help us ended up dead. But that's what happens when you look, man. All I know is I never got shadow banned by YouTube until our conversation started getting real deep, until we start dropping these breakdowns, till I start doing these live videos. I never got banned by YouTube, and I'm getting banned now. YouTube be trying to suppress my videos. That's all I'm saying. There are a lot of creators on here. They talk Black adjacent, but they not getting shadow banned by YouTube. And then there are a lot of us, or there are a few of us. Shout out to my brother Hip Hop Cartoons, because I know he's one of them. Begin shadow banned because the nature of the information we actually teaching. It's one thing to just be riling up people. Yeah. Yep. Hey, they shadow banned the hell out of my brother over there. But there's a lot of people over there just riling up Black people to just be riled up. And there's some of us that's actually educate the Black folk. So I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. But hey, like I say, it's Tuesday night. It's a school night. Yeah, they be shadow banning the heck out of people. But if you promoting foolishness, you're gonna get thousands and thousands and thousands of views if you promoting foolishness. If you throwing fire on the gas, you help to promote these diaspora wars and these gender wars and all this stuff here. They gonna promote you. But if you talking truth, if you're really trying to educate Black folk, you're gonna get shadow banned. But hey. But this is what it is. This is what it is. But hey, it ain't in me to quit. It ain't in me to give up. I just learned. I just hit 12 years on YouTube. I spent 6 years on YouTube, not getting a lot of views. Last 6 years, I've been really getting it on YouTube. But I ain't no stranger to getting it from out the mud. I ain't no stranger. So it is what it is. And I appreciate each and everybody who be rocking with me. Each and everybody who supports this channel. So please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share. Thank you to all of you. I appreciate you. Cool K, thank you. I appreciate all y'all. We're gonna keep doing what we're doing. We're gonna keep pushing. Cause ain't no punk in me. My daddy would be real mad if I was a punk. So please like this video, comment, subscribe, share. Make sure this information gets out. Make sure you got the notification bell on. And just continue to come back to this channel and watch all the videos on this channel. Just watch everything we put out on the channel. But remember, those Monday videos, those Monday book readings are important. Are very, very, very important videos for you all to look at. Those videos should have the most views on this channel. My Monday book readings. Right now, we're reading Blueprint to Black Power, Dr. Amos Wilson. 800 pages, and we're going to get through it too. We're going to have a good time reading. But I'm going to reiterate, my Monday book readings should be the most viewed videos on this channel. We get so much information. So much information is given in those videos. So, and with that being said, I appreciate you all. I love you all. And I'll be live again. Who knows? Maybe Friday, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday, maybe Saturday. One of these days. I know Saturday at 3:30, but maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. Hey, so there you go. There you go. Mondays, 1 p.m. Mondays at 1 p.m. These book readings are available. And go check out the one from this Monday where we getting started on Blueprint for Black Power. If you haven't checked out those videos, go check the videos out. We just finished Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery. And before that, we were reading The Miseducation of the Negro. So, and I think before that, we was reading Destruction of Black Civilization. So check that out. Many of our Black people aren't exactly aware of their ways as European. They never question where those ideas came from, as if we don't think right. And that's why our scholars keep telling us to read. Once we start reading, we'll start asking more questions. But with that being said, I love you all. I love my Black people. I love you all. Let's keep doing what we're doing. Keep getting better. Those of us who are doing it. And I'll see y'all live again, especially Saturday, but maybe Thursday or Friday. So see y'all later. Have a good night.